Good morning, students. We are starting our math work for Monday, October 19th, and we are continuing with fractions. Now, it's really important that you pay attention to today's lesson because our fraction assignments are getting a little bit more challenging. So after you complete your review exercises and your speed drills, which goes over the work that we did last week, you're going to start subtracting mixed numerals or fractions from whole numbers. So what we're doing is we're focusing on these whole numbers that are on their own that don't have any fractions, but we need to subtract fractions from them. So that may sound confusing, but as long as you follow these steps, you'll do just fine on each of them. So let's read the directions first. It says, to subtract a fraction or a mixed number from a whole number, take 1 from the whole number, make it a fraction, and then subtract. So we're going to do this step to all of these problems before we solve it. And you'll see that as long as you do that first step, the rest becomes much easier. So I was starting on the first sample, and this is what I did. Here we had 6 minus 2 and 3/5. But because 6 is a whole number with no fraction, we need to make it a fraction. And the way we do that is we change the 6 to a 5, so we took 1 from it, and then we looked at the denominator here, and we made a fraction out of it up here. So take a peek at your denominator in your fraction every time you solve one of these problems. In this case, we had 5. So all we did was take 1 from the 6 and make a fraction next to it using this denominator. So in this case, we had, instead of 6, 5 and 5/5. Now we can start subtracting. So we use the same steps that we used last week. We subtract our fraction 5 minus 3. 5 minus 3 is 2 over 5 because the denominator stays the same. And then 5 minus 2 is 3. So always make sure that you're no longer paying attention to the original whole number because we've changed it. So we are going to do a second sample to reinforce. So here for the second sample, we have 7 minus 3/4. So we don't even have a whole number here, but we still need to change this one into a fraction since we have a fraction here. So we're going to take 1 from the 7, make it a 6, take a look at this denominator, and make a fraction out of it over here. So take 1 from the 7, make it a 6, find the denominator, and make it a fraction. So instead of 7, we have 6 and 4/4. If you think about it, 6 and 4/4 is actually 7, but it's just made in fraction form so that we can more easily subtract. And then we subtract our fraction first. 4 minus 3 is 1 over our denominator, 4. And then 6 minus nothing, minus 0, is 6. So we have 6 and 1/4. I'm going to do one more, just in case. So here for number 1, what is our first step? Well, we have a whole number, so we're going to take 1 from it. So our 6 will turn into a 5. We find our denominator, 7, so we make a 7/7. Simple. Then we have 7 minus 4 is 3 over our denominator, 7, and 5 minus 2 is 3. That's it. So I strongly encourage you to go back and re-watch this and take a look at each step if you are still needing help and you don't understand. Of course, I'm available for you today at 11 o'clock, but I encourage you to go back, and if you need help with your review exercises, to go back to Thursday's video or Wednesday's video from last week for help. We will be continuing to work on these, so don't worry if you're taking a little long or you find it challenging. We're doing this little by little because our math book goes pretty quickly. And now for our language arts assignment for Monday, we're learning something new. we are going to be diagramming subjects and verbs. So this is just a way to organize the subjects and verbs in sentences, and they are later going to help you create sentences, and I'm going to teach you how. So it says diagrams help you to understand how words fit together to make sentences. Follow these steps in diagramming the subjects and verbs of sentences. So, as usual, we're going to patiently follow the directions. So for number 1, it says draw a horizontal line. So just a line. Find the verb and write it on the right side of the line. So it's just giving you an example. Then draw a vertical line before the verb. Write the subject in front of the vertical line. So pretty easy. What you're going to do is you're going to be reading sentences and you'll have a line. Then you're going to write the verb on the right side, the subject on the left side, and then in between a horizontal line. So as an example here, the first sentence says, God created the heaven and the earth. What is the verb in that sentence? It is created. So you would write it on the right side of your diagram. And then what is the subject? God. So you would write that on the left side of the diagram. The second example says, beautiful lilies are found in Japan. What is the verb in this sentence? Are found. Remember that is a state of being verb that helps this verb. So are found would go on the right, and lilies, which is the subject, goes on the left. Notice that they just write the simple subject, not the whole subject that includes the adjective. And the last one says, sing unto the Lord a new song. The verb, the action word is sing. So sing goes to the right, Lord to the left. Well, in this case, it's actually you to the left because it is a request or command. So I had to correct myself there. It is telling you. So that's a good thing to keep in mind because as you can see, I automatically chose the subject I thought. But I had to remember that this is a command, which makes this sentence imperative. So that means it's telling you, the reader. So good thing to keep in mind for me too. So here on Think on the bottom, you're going to do some of these exercises and you'll see that they'll go a little quicker than you expect. It says to underline the verbs 2 times, the subject 1 time. Diagram the subjects and verbs in the space provided. The horizontal lines are drawn for you. Remember, always find the verb first. So even if you think you know what the subject is right away, do your verbs first because you may surprise yourself. So we have an example here I'm going to do with you. It says, the dead leaves fall. So I'm going to find the verb first. In this case, fall is the action word, and I'm going to write this on the right side of my diagram. And then I'm going to do what step 3 says, which is to draw the vertical line. Then I'm going to find the subjects. What is the subject? The dead leaves fall? Leaves. The sentence is talking about leaves simply. So I'm going to write leaves here. For number 2, just to make sure, an angry wind rattles the windows. What is the verb? Rattles is the action word. So I'm going to write rattles on the right side. I'm going to draw my horizontal line. And I'm going to find the subject. An angry wind. Wind is simply the subject. I'm going to write that on the left side. So do the best you can. Of course, I'm here to help. And you're just going to carefully follow these directions up top. The horizontal line is already done for you. You find the verb, write it on the right. You draw a vertical line, find the subject, write it on the left. Simple. And now we have our spelling assignment for Monday. We have a brand new list and we are learning diphthongs. And what that is 2 or more vowels that glide together in one syllable, moving from the position of one vowel sound to the next. The letters are OI, OY, OU, and OW are diphthongs. Write pattern words to complete the exercises and sort the diphthongs. So, we're going to sort words, which you guys are used to. But before that, I'm going to read the pattern content and vocabulary words out loud so that you're sure on how to pronounce them all. So we have royal, avoid, appoint, destroy, account, doubtful, moisture, outdoors, crowded, enjoyable, allowance, employment. 4 content words: conifer, canopy, deciduous, timberline, evergreen, temperate, lumberjack. Vocabulary: memorial, memory, revise, revision. So we work on pattern and content words usually on our first list day. So here you're just going to sort, and you're just going to find for numbers 1 through 3 the words that have the OI blend. So the words that have OI next to each other, then OY, OU for 8 through 10, and then OW. Although you can find the answers by just looking for the word blend, I encourage you to say it out loud so that you can hear how the vowels blend together to make a different sound. So notice how these are 2 vowels that make a different sound than if the vowels were on their own. And that's what a diphthong is. So I'm just giving you a reading reminder. So we are going to have a read along every day this week except Friday. So that means we get to finish our book this week. So we'll be doing 14, 15, 16, and then finally 17. Yay! So join me on Zoom at 11, and after any language, spelling, math, history, or science lessons and questions, we will do our read along. So bring your book and we will have fun. Remember to define these words, these vocabulary words that are from your chapters, and send those along with me along with your homework assignments. And for a science reminder, notice how I don't have a page number just like last week, and that's again because my teacher book is slightly different than yours. So as soon as we get together at 11, I will make sure to find out exactly what page number it is. But as long as you find Unit 2 Amazing Mammals section, you're just going to read 2.1 and then do the 2.1 chapter checkup. So it should be fine. It's probably a couple of pages off, but we will talk about it today over Zoom.